everyone. Hi, my name is Francine Crawford. Welcome to my show, Autumn is Here. This evening, we're going to talk to the seniors. I have a little dilemma. I was trying to reach out to family members so they can talk to their elderly relatives to get more involved. In my bio, I said I want to talk to Gen X's, which are people that are 50, 40, 45, parents that they are trying to, just before they get to a position that they have to care for them, that they know more about their business, financially, health, things like that. But it seems that I think the senior may have to get more involved. So today we're just going to talk to the seniors today. We're going to just talk to them about, are you ready? Are you prepared? Have you reached out? Because you may have to reach out to your family to tell them your wishes. It is your life. And because it's your life, you have that right to do that. But two, you take a little bit more control over the latter portion of your life. You take more control over what you want to do with your assets, with your things that you worked hard for, with your health and the wishes that you may want. So I want to ask you, do you have these things in place that will clearly define and say what you would like to happen, whether it's financial or whether it's about your health? Now, of course, the things that you have to have in place, we're talking about things prior to you passing away or even after. So if we talk about a better quality of life as a senior, we're going to have to talk about the inevitable, which is death. And I know that's the reason why sometimes we don't talk about preparing for the latter years in life, because no one wants to talk about death. We know we live, we die. We know it's going to happen. We don't know how or when, or nobody knows the day nor the hour, but you can take charge in how you continue to live before that time. So I want to ask you seniors, have you had the conversations with your family members? Or do you have somebody in place that's going to help you? Do you have things like healthcare proxy? That is something that if something should happen and you're incapacitated and then they have to do a medical procedure or something like that, then maybe this person would have to make this decision on you. You get to choose who you would like to do that. So if you get to a position where you're ill and you can't make the decision, you can't talk or whatever, and there's a procedure that has to be done, you're going to pick the person who's going to make that decision for you. And then talk to them and say, well, if something should happen and I cannot make the decision, you can make the decision, but tell them certain things that you really wouldn't want or you would want. If they said they have to take my leg, nope, I don't want them to take my leg. Don't take any body parts. Maybe that's what you want. Have that conversation. It's a tough conversation to have because, of course, you're thinking about, the latter years of your life. But it's better to have that conversation because that's a heavy decision to make for someone to make. Have a living will. A living will, you are writing out exactly what you want. So that's really helpful to the person because, if something should happen, they can go back to it as a document and say, well, this is what she wants to happen or he wants to happen. So do you have that in place? A lot of times we just avoid it as if, things are not going to happen and we're not going to deteriorate. We're not going to get weaker and we're not going to need any help. And we do need some help. Financially, you can get a power of attorney to be able to someone to make financial decisions when you can't, or certain transactions that you may not be able to do. Even to set up your bank accounts that somebody else can go to the bank for you and get your money or whatever, have a joint account. Have you done that? These are things that you might want to think about and put in place and think about who you want to do these things and who is the best person for it or the most responsible person for it or however you would like to do it. But do you have these things in place? Seniors, we also know that it's better and it'll be easier as you if you have as many things in place as possible at the moment before anything may happen to you, that you can't make these decisions. Then people are scrambling, and then they don't even know your wishes. They don't even know what you want. And even with the power of attorney, there are people that are doing all kinds of financial fraud, and you can have that in place when you're 60 and you may live to 85. Where you're still handling your business, but when you're 80, you may not be able to handle your business. It's already in place. So that would be good. And plus, when you get older, they have all these fraud. They have all these people that are trying to get your money and things like that. So you have somebody watching over your money and your valuables. And also to, have a will. I don't know how many people have wills, but sometimes we don't have wills because we just don't go forward and do it. But sometimes we don't think we have anything of value. You figure, oh, I don't have that much. But when you start looking at yourself and adding the things that you have, maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, maybe you have a bank account with 10 grand in it or something like that. Maybe you have jewelry that's valuable. Maybe you have a car, maybe you have houses that have gone up and appreciated. That's your wealth. So that's something that you have to think about and start thinking about and consider, that you might be more valuable and more worth more than you think you do. You have pension plans, you have different things like that. Make sure you put your beneficiaries on it. Make sure that things are already allocated in your will, that in the case of your death, that you will have these things divvied up maybe equally amongst your children if you have children. Maybe everything just goes to your spouse. Whatever your wishes are, property, different things like that. Maybe you want to tell them wishes of your property. I always hear that people say, my grandfather never wanted us to sell this house. So people just say that, keep it in their mind, and they just don't. And here you are with something that's of value. And everybody's struggling when maybe it might be another decision that you can make on the house, if somebody should pass away and they leave it to you. So, think about things like that. Sometimes we just continue to do things that are in a habit, but not really thinking it through, or not really knowing all the options that we may have, that we are wealthy, that we may have some wealth, so that's one of the things, that we need to kind of put in place. Also, business. Sometimes we have businesses. Some people have businesses. You might want it to continue. Teach your children the business. Teach your children about how to run the business and things like that. Just in case they might want to take it over. Or business is not just outside business that you may have of goods and services. Business could be the business of your home. Sometimes people die and they leave a home and you don't know how to take care of it. They never taught you because they took care of all the business. You don't even know what a mortgage is. You don't even know, and you don't know about taxes and water bills and things like that because you never had to do it. They took care of everything. Start teaching our children at a younger age the value of a house, how to run a house, the things that can come up, the responsibility of it. The business of the house. Start teaching them that so they can decide better whether they might want to keep it and live in it and do whatever they need to do if you have willed it to them. It's just a lot of things that we can avoid problems in our families because we know what happens sometimes when people die. Family members split apart because of not bad decisions. I apologize. Sometimes family members split apart because of certain decisions. They think that they didn't get enough, or they don't. They think that someone else should not get, or they just think that there was something else. There's another will somewhere that, puts them in charge or something like that. There's all kinds of things that have happened. I know that like there are people who families were fine until the death of their parents, and people still are not talking today because of things like that. And so when you're a senior, I want you to think about that. You're not here, but you still want your family to go on. You still want your family to be together. You still want your family to cherish the memories, but also continue some of the traditions of being together and sharing each other and supporting each other. And when you have assets that you have not assigned or anything like that, and you do not have a will, you may leave it open for them to have friction between each other. And I know it shouldn't be, but we are human and things happen, and that's how it is. That's the reality of it. Making tough decisions also is just very heavy on people. And before, if something, sometimes there are times where they have to pull a plug, and people emotionally can't do it, don't want to do it. But if it's already written, do not resuscitate, or do everything, you tell them, and do everything to keep me alive if that's what you want. I think it would be better for them emotionally, because they'll know your wishes. And they'll probably try to carry out your wishes. It's difficult if you don't know. My mom had Alzheimer's, so she wasn't making any decisions, and she had it for years. So we never had those conversations about do not resuscitate or anything like that. And I would only have to make it based on my own decision and what I thought and things like that, which are always like, it was in the back of my head, like, what would I do? What would I do? Well, I didn't have that decision to make, but I had a decision that I didn't think would be a decision I would have to make. And it was whether to give her a feeding tube or not. And that was incredibly hard. And I didn't, first of all, I didn't understand it. When they asked me to give her a feeding tube, like, okay, why? Of course you want her to eat, right? So that's what I was thinking, like, okay, well, of course she wants to eat. And when they explaining to me was that, she's not going to really get better. And it's kind of intrusive. And they were explaining, do you want to put her through this or do you not, and whatever. And my idea is like food, you need food. She needs to eat. But when they explained how it was, and I didn't want, she was never really in pain. So I didn't want her to be in pain at all. So I had to worry about that. And that was really, really difficult. I remember sitting in my car crying, like I didn't go in, I went to visit, but I couldn't go in the hospital because I had to sit in my car because I knew they wanted me to make that decision today, because I stalled and I stalled and I stalled. And I couldn't do it. It was so hard for me to do. And, they let me speak to another doctor, a different type of doctor. And I spoke to them, and they explained to me that the feeding tube was not exactly like feeding them. It feeds them nutrition, but the body tends to not want to eat the way we normally want to eat, or think of feels food like we normally do. It's not like, eating her favorite food or whatever. It's just keeping her alive with some nutrients and stuff like that. And it's not the same where your body doesn't just starve. And that's what I was thinking. I was starving my mother to death. And they were saying, no, it's not like that. Your body changes and has a different association with food. So I decided not to, because I wanted her to be more comfortable. So, but that was a hard decision. And if my mother would have said, okay, well, listen, do everything you have to do, whatever, then I would have known, well, we're going to do everything, including that. If my mother would have said, and we had the conversation, listen, at the end, if I can't do anything on my own, just let me go. If we would have had that conversation, I would have known, okay, well, she said, just let her go. So that's what she wanted. That's what I'll do. And that would have been, for me, that would have been easier. I would have done what she wanted me to do. But I never got a chance to have that conversation because she had Alzheimer's. And we never had that conversation because nobody knew that I would have to make those kind of decisions, at any time, actually, because I didn't think about her getting sick so early on. And I'm just saying that seniors, if you have children or somebody who's going to be a caretaker or your spouse or somebody, and they're going to give you care, have conversations with them, because it's emotionally, it's a lot. Emotionally, it's a lot. And it's better for you to just take charge of your life as it progresses. Tell people what you want. And your children, of course, can come in and help you do things and get your house in order and make it safe for you and things like that. But don't be afraid to make them feel comfortable that they can ask you questions and help you. If you need to help, ask for the help. Ask for the help. And even planning for your funeral. I know we're not supposed to talk about death. I get it. But I know it's more than planning. I know what song I want. It's more than that. We need to plan where our assets go and plan what wishes we want for our health and things like that. So don't be afraid to talk about it with your family members. Don't be afraid to talk about the inevitable. It's going to happen. We all know that, whether you're a believer or not, it's going to happen. And you want peace in the end, I believe. You want peace. Even after you go, you'll have peace, but you want your family to continue with peace. So put things in place, plan your estate. You may not think it's valuable, but if you take a piece of paper and write down the things that you have, you'd be surprised what value you have and what value may help your family. Maybe just pay off bills, maybe send a kid to college, different things like that. Put it down on paper. Don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid to address the idea that you're getting older. You are. We know you are. I know that 60 is a new 40, and 50 is a new 30, or however you say it. But I know that. But your body still knows your age. Okay, your body still knows your age. So please be mindful of that. And don't be afraid to, if you have to go for outside help, get an attorney or whatever, that's fine. Do that. But, later on in the series, we'll have someone else that can be more clear about the things that you may have to put in place, or you may want to put in place, the things, or why you want to put these things in place. But right now, I want you to think about that and think about, making the moves to invite people in to help you. Invite people in to help you now while you're in your right mind, while you're in your right health. You might be healthy, but let them know that there are things that you want and don't want, and that you're open to them helping you. And that will help you to lead you to a better quality of life and peace of mind, especially when you know your business is going to be handled and your health is going to be handled, and you have somebody there to care for you, to love you, and to continue to keep your family together in harmony. And that's what this actually will do. It helps them to be in harmony, hopefully. Hopefully. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantee. I can't guarantee that. But, think about that. I know we don't like to think about the negative. I know we don't like to think about our families not getting along and our, sisters and brothers arguing and fighting over material things. I get it. We don't like to do that, but it happens. It happens more so than you think it happens. And that's the reality of it. People walk away from someone's death with bad feelings, and it's not just because the person died. Someone got more than me or something, whatever it is. It could be anything. So try to eliminate that the best you can. And that's by putting things in order, like your healthcare proxy, your living will, your power of attorney, your will, and things like that. So just put things in order. let's get our house in order, as they say, and be able to help our family to continue living on in peace and love after we are gone. Okay. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about our latter years. We shouldn't be afraid to prepare for our latter years. And we should not be afraid to talk about death. It's going to happen. I know it can be sad, but it's better to face it now and enjoy the time that you have now while you're healthy. Okay, that's my message for this evening. And next week we'll have a couple more interviews that we'll have. Actually, I had one, but I didn't press record, so I messed it up. I'm just going to tell you a little secret. But that's okay. So you have me today. But next week we will have it. And we'll have some more people to discuss more about this subject and be able to have more knowledge on this subject and getting your house in order, getting yourself together so you can have a better quality of life in the gap between your latter years and the inevitable time. All right. Talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.